Hello and welcome to another bite-sized jump into Adobe Lightrooms. This time we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday and take the image we cropped of the University Library in Glasgow, and we're going to start toning it. Raw files are generally quite flat, so practically every single raw file that you get straight out of your camera you are going to have to do something with. So one of the first things after you've got the look and feel is to start giving the image some dimension and depth, and one of the ways of doing that is by checking the exposure and playing around with the light and shades in the image to give it more depth and feel, and in some cases drama and emotion. So in this case I'm already in the develop module since we're picking up where we left off yesterday. So Glasgow University Library. We're just going to have a little play around and see what we can do to get this. I'd like a bit more depth, darkness in there, so we can pull out a little bit of detail into the clouds and just give it a bit more punch really. So this is all relatively quick. It's all in the tone module just here, and basically we'll start. I think it's a little bit overexposed, a little bit too bright for me, so let's pull it down. And again, it's a little by feel. Take it down a little bit, see where you're going. Do you like what you're getting? We're already starting to get a bit more depth in there. That's looking about right. We can come back to it a little later and tweak. Now we'll jump down to the highlights, shadows, whites and blacks. Now a little trick I picked up on is to completely remove your highlights and completely remove your shadows. Again, this looks a little weird and funky, but we'll bring some of those back by playing with the whites and blacks. So first of all, let's build a white up again. Now we're making sure the little triangle up here doesn't turn white, as that shows we're starting to clip and we don't want to lose any detail at all. You've spent all that time getting the exposure, so you're not clicking in camera. So let's take it up, and there we're thereabouts, just about close to it. There's detail coming out in the cloud, but now we need it. It's still looking a bit flat, so we need to add a bit more depth by going into the blacks. And let's pull that down, and you'll gradually see there's depth being added into the image as the shadows get darker and darker. Let's see, probably want to go, yeah, let's go around there. Now, mentioned the highlights and shadows. I always like to back those off a little bit. So I'm going to bring a bit more shadow back into the image. So again, you pull down until you think you've got to something like you look like, is it right, is it wrong? That feels good to me. And the same with the highlights. Bring those, back those off a little bit and try and get some. Don't want to go too far because we're losing detail up in the clouds here. So there we go. Stay around there. So a little bit more, and we can just add a little bit more contrast by using the contrast tab and pull that along a little, just to add a little bit more punch. There we go, that's there or thereabouts. I say it's all just look and feel. Let's back it off a little bit more in the exposure. And that is essentially that. I think I'm quite happy with that. We've got an image that has a bit more depth to it than the original one sent out. There's still things we can do, but for me at this point in time, job done.